The Defiant Touch. The Galactic Research Institute's artificial lighting cycled to morning brightness as Professor Drelix unfurled his seven-fingered hands across the console. His translucent skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns, the viridian equivalent of a frustrated sigh. 300 stellar cycles of research, 14 published treatises on dangerous xenofauna, and now this. A human. With all respect, High Administrator, I fail to see why my department requires a Terran consultant. Drelix's voice remained measured despite his frustration. The exchange program benefits neither party in this circumstance. The administrator's hologram flickered. The board has spoken, Professor. The Terran Alliance insists on equal participation across all scientific disciplines, including xenobiological containment. Their ambassador was quite insistent. Drelix's skin darkened to a deep blue. These humans have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. They know nothing of proper containment protocols for Class 6 predators and above. Nevertheless, Dr. Ilara Chen arrives tomorrow. I suggest you prepare accordingly. The hologram disappeared. Drelix extended his neck stalk to its full height and stared at the specimen bay below his office. Dozens of transparent containment fields housed the galaxy's most dangerous non-sentient creatures, each meticulously studied, classified, and contained according to protocols developed over millennia. No emotional attachment, no subjective bias, pure, methodical science. Humans, in his experience, were anything but methodical. The airlock doors parted the next morning to reveal a small human female with close-cropped black hair and sharp eyes that darted around the bay with unbridled curiosity. Dr. Chen, Drelix said, extending his primary limb in greeting. Welcome to Containment Section Alpha. The human grasped his hand without hesitation, another trait that unsettled most non-Terrans. Humans touched everything. Please, call me Ilara. Her translator produced perfect galactic standard, but her smile carried that peculiar warmth unique to her species. Your work on plasma-based biological containment systems is brilliant, Professor. I've applied modified versions in my own research. Despite himself, Drelix felt his skin lighten slightly at the compliment. Your credentials are impressive for your species' experience level. I understand you specialize in communication patterns among predatory species. Communication, connection, relationship. She nodded. Traditional xenobiology focuses on classification and containment. I'm more interested in understanding. Understanding predators requires safe distance. Drelix countered, guiding her through the specimen bay, especially ones designed for killing. Ilara ran her fingers along the edge of a containment field, stopping just short of activating the warning system. Not always. Sometimes understanding requires proximity. Drelix's skin rippled with alarm. That philosophy has resulted in the death of 12 researchers in the past cycle alone. And how many specimens were terminated because no one understood them? She asked quietly. Their tour ended at the primary research laboratory, where Drelix introduced her to the rest of the team. A collection of the galaxy's finest xenobiologists representing 17 different species. Most regarded the human with polite scientific curiosity. A few, like senior researcher Volzak, made no effort to hide their disdain. I've read your paper on empathetic resonance with apex predators, Volzak said, his insectoid mandibles clicking. Fascinating fiction. The neurological data was peer-reviewed, Ilara replied calmly. By other humans, no doubt. Volzak turned to Drelix. Professor, the expedition team has returned from Nexus 9. They'd brought something unusual. The specimen arrival bay was designed to process even the most dangerous discoveries. Triple-layered containment fields, automated defensive systems, and emergency vaporization protocols ensured nothing escaped. Drelix led the team to the observation deck as the expedition crew completed decontamination. What do we have? He asked the expedition leader. Unclassified. The Krallian scientist replied, her exoskeleton still glistening from decontamination spray. It killed 3 security drones before we could subdue it. We found it in the ruins of the abandoned mining outpost. No records mention anything like it in the Nexus system. The interior doors slid open, and a hovering containment field moved into the bay. Inside, a creature unlike anything Drelix had ever seen pulsed with barely restrained energy. Its body was a shifting mass of midnight blue tissue, with no discernible skeletal structure. Multiple limbs. Drelix counted 9, ended in what appeared to be both claws and sensory appendages. Most disturbing were its eyes. 3 clusters of gleaming silver orbs that moved independently of each other. Extraordinary, breathed Drelix. Initial classification. We're recommending Class 8, possibly 9, said the expedition leader. Its adaptive capabilities are beyond anything in our database. It absorbed our first containment field before we modified the frequency. Absorbed. Ilara stepped closer to the observation window. Not disrupted. Integrated it somehow. We had to cycle through 17 frequency patterns before finding one it couldn't adapt to. The creature suddenly surged toward their position, slamming against the containment field with such force that everyone except Ilara stepped back. It pressed what appeared to be a sensory cluster against the barrier, silver eyes fixed directly on the human. "It's curious," Ilara whispered. "It's calculating," corrected Volzak. "Predators test boundaries before attacking." The administrative team arrived, led by High Administrator Grell. After reviewing the expedition report, the administrator's expression grew grave. "Unknown origin, unprecedented adaptability, confirmed casualties," Grell summarized. "Protocol is clear. Terminate and preserve for dissection." "Wait." Ilara stepped forward. "We haven't even begun to study it. Something this unique is too dangerous to keep alive." Volzak interrupted. "The creature absorbed advanced containment technology. Given time, it will likely breach our systems as well." "I concur with Senior Researcher Volzak," said Drelix, though his skin dimmed at the admission. "Safety protocols exist for a reason, Dr. Chen." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Protocol over discovery. Is that the Institute's true mission? The safety of this station and its 3,000 researchers is my primary concern," Administrator Grell replied coldly. "Termination will proceed at 800 tomorrow. That gives you adequate time for preliminary non-invasive scans, Professor Drelix." After the others left, Drelix found Ilara still watching the creature. It had retreated to the center of its containment field, but continued to orient its sensor clusters toward her. "You disagree with the decision," he stated. "It's responding to presence," she said. "Not just reacting. Responding. There's awareness there." "Many predators are intelligent," Drelix countered. "Intelligence without proper behavioral constraints only makes them more dangerous." "And who defines proper?" Ilara turned to face him. "Your species. Mine. The Institute. Scientific consensus built over thousands of years. Was once certain that faster than light travel was impossible," she finished. "Science evolves, Professor. Sometimes it needs a push." Drelix found her in the specimen bay that night, well after curfew. She stood before the creature's containment field, one hand raised just centimeters from the barrier. "Dr. Chen," he called sharply. "Step away from the containment field immediately." She didn't turn. "It's been trying to communicate since it arrived. Watch the pattern of light pulses across its surface." Drelix reluctantly moved closer. The creature's skin rippled with bioluminescence, not unlike his own species' emotional displays. "Coincidental mimicry," he said. "Many species evolve bioluminescence independently." "Then why does it alternate patterns when different species enter the room?" It showed Krallian threat displays to the security team. "With you, it's using Viridian communication patterns." Drelix's neck stalk extended in surprise. "That's not possible. It would need to understand." "Cultural context." "Yes." Ilara looked at him directly now. "That requires either sophisticated programming or genuine intelligence. Either possibility deserves more than termination, don't you think?" "What exactly are you proposing, Dr. Chen?" Direct contact. She held up a hand before he could protest. Controlled, monitored, with full safety protocols. One chance to establish communication before execution. Absolutely not. The risks are mine to take. I'll sign any waiver the Institute requires. Her expression softened. You're a scientist first, Professor. Don't you want to know? Drelix's inner eyelids flickered, his species equivalent of contemplation. Even if I agreed, Administrator Grell would never approve such a request with the termination already scheduled. Then we don't ask. Ilara's eyes held a determination that sent ripples of alarm across Drelix's skin. I've studied the security systems. With your access codes, I could create a small opening in the field, just enough for minimal contact. If I'm wrong, activate the emergency protocols. If I'm right, you would risk your life on an unproven theory. Humans call it a hunch, Professor. She smiled slightly. Sometimes the most important discoveries begin with one. Drelix knew he should report her immediately. His position, his reputation, centuries of research, all would be jeopardized by such reckless behavior. And yet, the scientist in him couldn't deny his curiosity. I will not provide my access codes, he said finally, but I will not report this conversation. Whatever you choose to do, Dr. Chen, you do so without my knowledge or approval. She nodded once, understanding the implicit message. Good night, Professor. As Drelix turned to leave, he heard her voice once more. Sometimes the greatest scientific breakthroughs come from breaking the rules, not following them. He did not respond, but his skin rippled with the viridian pattern for deep uncertainty as the doors closed behind him. In the silence of the specimen bay, Ilara turned back to the creature. Its silver eyes tracked her movement as she approached the control panel next to the containment field. Her fingers danced across the interface, bypassing security protocols with practiced efficiency. A small section of the barrier flickered momentarily, just long enough. Ilara Chen stretched out her hand and did what no researcher in the Institute's long history had ever dared to do. She reached through the gap, past every warning, beyond all protocol, and touched the unknown. The understanding. Alarms blared through the station as Professor Drelix sprinted toward the specimen bay, his normally pale skin flashing warning colors. Behind him, security drones and emergency response teams scrambled to contain what the automated system had identified as a catastrophic containment breach. Class 9 entity. Drelix knew better. This was no ordinary breach. This was Ilara Chen making a choice. Authorization Drelix Prime Alpha, he gasped at the security barrier. Override emergency protocols, Specimen Bay Section 3. The doors reluctantly parted. Drelix burst into the room, expecting chaos. Guards firing suppression fields, emergency containment measures deploying. Perhaps even Ilara's broken body. What he saw instead stopped him cold. The containment field was open, completely open, and in the center of the room stood Ilara, her small human form dwarfed by the massive creature. It had expanded somehow, its shifting blue-black mass now nearly 3 meters tall, with luminescent patterns flowing across its surface in complex, rhythmic sequences. Its limbs had reconfigured, becoming more symmetrical, more deliberate in their movement. Most shocking of all, they were touching. One of the creature's appendages had elongated into something resembling a tendril, wrapped gently around Ilara's outstretched arm. Where they connected, a soft blue glow pulsed between them. Dr. Chen, Drelix called out, his voice tight with fear. Move away slowly. Ilara turned toward him, her face illuminated by the blue light. She wasn't afraid. She was smiling. It's okay, Professor, she said calmly. We're just talking. Talking? Volzak burst into the room behind Drelix, flanked by security officers with pulse weapons trained on the creature. It's controlling her mind. Fire containment protocols now. Wait. Drelix raised all 4 of his arms. Let me speak with her first. Ilara gently disengaged from the creature, which made no move to stop her. She walked toward the security team, hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. "The creature isn't hostile," she said. "It's a refugee. The last of its kind, escaping extinction when its homeworld was destroyed in the Nexus system collapse." "Ridiculous." Volzak's mandibles clicked rapidly. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because it showed me." Ilara tapped her temple. "Direct neural communication. Its species communicates through bioelectrical impulse exchange. What we mistook for an attack on our containment fields was actually an attempt to establish contact." Administrator Grill pushed through the security team, his eyes darting between Ilara and the creature, which remained motionless in the center of the room. "Even if what you say is true," Grill said, "you've violated at least 17 safety protocols. You've endangered the entire station with this stunt." "I've made first contact with an intelligent species on the brink of extinction," Ilara countered. "One capable of sharing knowledge across vast differences in biology and cognition." Drellick stepped closer, watching the creature with new eyes. It had arranged its limbs in a clear mathematical pattern, one that any scientifically literate species would recognize as non-random. "How intelligent?" he asked quietly. Ilara turned to him, relief in her eyes at finding an ally. "Their civilization was spacefaring before most of our species evolved complex language. They're explorers, scientists, archivists, preserving knowledge across millions of years." "If that's true," Volzak interjected, "why did it kill the security drones at the mining outpost?" "Self-defense," Ilara replied. "They found it in stasis, interrupted its hibernation cycle. It perceived the drones as threats and responded accordingly." Drelix watched the creature carefully. It had begun producing complex light patterns again, but different now, structured, almost like. "Is it attempting to write?" he asked, neck stalk extending in wonder. Ilara nodded. "It's learned our symbolic language systems from my mind. It's trying to communicate directly now." The pattern stabilized into glowing symbols hovering above its surface, a mixture of human alphanumeric characters and galactic standard script. "Not enemy. Knowledge seeker. Last of archivists." Administrator Grell's expression hardened. "Clever trick, Dr. Chen. Neural manipulation is a documented ability in several predatory species. This proves nothing except that the creature is controlling your perceptions." "Test it then," Ilara challenged. "Ask it something only a truly intelligent being could answer, something I couldn't possibly know." Before Grell could respond, the station's emergency alert system activated. "Attention all personnel. Gravitational anomaly detected in Sector 7. Quantum fluctuations increasing. All non-essential personnel evacuate to secure zones immediately." Grell's communicator chirped urgently. He listened for a moment, his expression growing grave. "The quantum drive is destabilizing," he announced. "Engineering reports a cascade failure in the containment matrix. We have less than 2 hours before catastrophic failure." "That's impossible," Volzak said. "The quantum drive has triple redundancies." Ilara turned to the creature, which had begun pulsing with rapid light patterns. "It says the drive isn't malfunctioning. It's being pulled apart by an external force. A micro-singularity that formed when the expedition ship returned from Nexus 9. "How could it possibly know that?" Drelix asked. "Its species can perceive quantum states directly," Ilara explained. "It sensed the anomaly the moment it arrived." The creature's lights formed new symbols. Kinheel, need vessel, risk to self. Ilara turned to Grell. "It's offering to help, to stabilize the singularity, but it needs direct access to the quantum drive." "Absolutely not." Grell's face flushed with anger. "This is clearly manipulation. It caused the problem to present itself as the solution. The creature was contained here when the anomaly began." Drelix pointed out, his scientific mind working through the problem. "The timing correlates with the expedition's return, not with Dr. Chen's interaction with the entity." The station shuddered as another gravitational wave passed through it. Warning lights flashed across all consoles. "Drive containment at 60% and falling," announced the automated system. "Structural integrity compromised in sectors 8 through 12. Grell's communicator buzzed again. After listening briefly, he looked up, his expression grim. "Engineering confirms the presence of a micro-singularity interfering with the quantum field. They cannot stabilize it with conventional methods." He turned to Ilara. "Explain exactly what this creature is proposing." "It can manipulate quantum states directly. A natural ability of its species," she said. "It needs to physically connect with the drive system to reconfigure the containment field and neutralize the singularity. And we're supposed to trust this information you've received through direct neural contact with an unknown entity," Volzek demanded. "We have 94 minutes until catastrophic failure," Drelix said quietly. "Do you have a better solution, senior researcher?" The evacuation had begun by the time they reached the quantum drive chamber. Engineers worked frantically at control stations while warning messages flashed across every screen. In the center of the room, separated by multiple containment fields, the quantum drive pulsed with unstable energy. Around it, space itself seemed to warp and distort. "Drive containment at 42%, announced the chief engineer, a Talaxian with 6 arms working simultaneously across different control surfaces. "The singularity is growing exponentially. We've evacuated all non-essential personnel to the emergency shuttles." The creature moved forward, its form shifting and compressing as if preparing itself. Its light patterns became more urgent, more complex. Ilara placed a hand on Drelix's arm. "It needs your authorization to disable the final containment field." Drelix hesitated, centuries of caution warring with the desperate situation. "If it absorbs the quantum energy." "It won't," Ilara said with certainty. "Its consciousness is divided into discrete quantum states naturally. It can process and redirect the energy without absorbing it." The station shuddered again, more violently this time. Support beams groaned under the strain. "Drive containment at 38%, reported the system. "Catastrophic failure imminent." Drelix made his decision. Authorization Drelix Prime Omega. "Disable final containment field, quantum drive chamber." The last barrier between the creature and the quantum drive disappeared. Without hesitation, it surged forward, its form elongating and wrapping around the drive's core. Where they connected, blinding light erupted, so intense that everyone shielded their eyes. The creature's body began to glow with energy far beyond anything its bioluminescence had produced before. Its limbs stretched impossibly thin, weaving through the quantum matrix in patterns too complex to follow. The warning alarms suddenly ceased. "Drive containment stabilizing," reported the system, its artificial voice sounding almost surprised. "Singularity diminishing. Quantum field normalizing." For 5 tense minutes, no one spoke as the creature continued its work. Gradually, the light dimmed, the spatial distortions faded, and the quantum drive returned to its normal operational state. "Drive containment at 100%, announced the system. "Quantum field stable. Singularity neutralized." The creature slowly unwound itself from the drive core, its form noticeably diminished. It floated back toward Ilara, moving with obvious effort, its bioluminescence flickering weakly. "It's hurt," she said, reaching out to it. The process cost it significantly. The creature's lights formed one more message before it collapsed into Ilara's arms. "Worth the exchange. Found in EWOM." 3 days later, Professor Drelix stood in his office overlooking the newly designated research space. Below, Ilara worked with a team of xenobiologists and linguists, carefully documenting the creature's recovery and expanding communication systems. The creature, now officially classified as Archivist Prime, rather than a specimen number, had regained much of its strength and was currently demonstrating what appeared to be mathematical theorems by manipulating light patterns in 3-dimensional space. Administrator Grell entered, his expression still tight, but no longer openly hostile. "The board has reviewed the incident," he announced without preamble. Dr. Chen's violations of protocol remain on record, but in light of the exceptional circumstances, no further disciplinary action will be taken. And the archivist, Drelix asked, officially reclassified as a sentient refugee species under Galactic Charter protection. Grell's mouth twisted slightly. The first of its kind to receive such status based on the testimony of a human with less than 2 centuries of spacefaring experience. Drelix's skin rippled with amusement. The universe continues to surprise us. Indeed. Grell moved to leave, then paused. The board also approved your proposal for the new xenobiological communication initiative. Dr. Chen will serve as co-director, reporting directly to you. After Grell departed, Drelix watched Ilara work. She moved with confidence among beings from a dozen worlds, bridging differences with the same ease she had shown with the archivist. Perhaps there was something to the human approach after all, this willingness to reach out, to connect before classifying, to touch what others fled. His communication panel chimed. A message from the human. Coming to the observation deck, the archivist is about to share the astronomical knowledge it's been gathering for the past 1,000,000 years. Should be quite a show. Drelix's skin brightened to a warm gold, the viridian expression of anticipation and joy. For 300 years, he had studied the dangerous creatures of the galaxy from behind barriers of safety and protocol. Today, he would try something new. He would reach out and touch the unknown.